Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to News Toast. So last week we talked about how Xbox Game Pass is just on fire right now. They've had a really good lineup of high-quality games to start 2023 with, and well, that continues right into this week as they just announced 2 more surprise Day 1 titles coming later this year. You just have to love being an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. So we need to talk about that today, as well as one of the biggest competitive games of all time is technically about ready to get a sequel of sorts. Before we get started, though, a reminder of those buttons below. Do like, subscribe, and of course, do hit that bell. It helps the channel a ton, but not only that, it's also a way for you to keep up with the daily gaming news. So do hit those buttons below. With that said, though, you know it. Let's just go and jump right into it. Starting off with a surprise announcement that was made over the weekend. I don't really think many people were expecting this, but at Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour, they announced the revival of Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi, which is a series that we haven't seen in over 15 years. Now, however, don't be confused. This is not Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I actually grew up with the Budokai series myself. My friends and I used to play the Budokai series together on the PlayStation 2. I love that series. But nonetheless, Tenkaichi is a completely different series that ran alongside that. I don't know. It's a weird naming convention. It is what it is. But this is a fully 3D fighting game that found quite a cult following over time. It did have a pretty big roster. The visuals were always impressive under Spike Chunsoft, but ultimately, we haven't seen this series since the PS360 days. So yeah, I'd say this announcement was a big surprise, though they're not really revealing too much as of yet. All we currently have for the time being is a brief teaser with what appears to be a cinematic opening of Goku turning Super Saiyan Blue. Hopefully, though, we'll get another update soon with maybe a release window and some actual gameplay. Either way, though, I feel like Dragon Ball has had a pretty good recent history with games. I mean, we got Dragon Ball FighterZ. There was also Dragon Ball Kakarot. I mean, I grew up with the Dragon Ball franchise myself. I am a 90s kid after all. So it's really nice seeing all these Dragon Ball games make their way over to current platforms and actually mostly with good quality. Hopefully, Tenkaichi will continue on with that. Next up, here's a little bit of a weird story for you, but of course, one running joke for the Xbox Series X this generation is that, well, you know, it looks like a refrigerator. Well, Microsoft played along with that, and they put together a working, real-life miniature Xbox Series X fridge together, and, you know, it actually ended up proving to be quite popular online. The thing about that, though, is that Xbox pretty much since then, they've continued to put these odd and attractive products together. Last year, they released the oddly cute Xbox controller hoodies. Again, these things were selling out. They're just so weird that you kind of want one. Well, it appears they're continuing on with that trend in 2023 as well, because according to a French website, Xbox Squad, Microsoft has all kinds of new Xbox gear planned this year, highlighted by an Xbox Series S toaster, out of all things. Now, I would include a picture here, but just to kind of be a little cautious on this one, I am just going to go ahead and drop a link in the description below where you can check it out yourself. But yeah, my daughter has already told me that she wants this thing. But there you go. Another weird Xbox kitchen appliance. Now, allegedly, this will cost 60 euros, which translates to roughly $65 US, but for the time being, a release date is currently unknown. Oh, and we also got an update for the immensely popular Hogwarts Legacy. Of course, this game has launched to a ton of success, selling 12 million copies in just its first 2 weeks alone, which is all the more impressive when you start to realize that's only on the Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC. It still technically has 2 more launches, being the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version, and then later on the Nintendo Switch as well. So, I mean, ultimately, we could actually still see some more sales spikes for this game, though unfortunately for those fans waiting for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions specifically, they just made this announcement. We're overwhelmed with gratitude for the response of Hogwarts Legacy from fans around the globe. The team is working hard to deliver the best possible experience on all platforms, and we need more time to do this. Hogwarts Legacy will launch for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One May 5th, 2023. So, I mean, there it is. The Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version has been officially delayed, but really, all things considered, this isn't too bad of a delay. It'll just be an extra month wait. It was originally supposed to release on April 4th, but now instead it will release on May 5th. If anything, hopefully the extra month will make for a smoother overall launch. That's always really the hope with any type of delay, but I think especially when it comes to this game, there's already concern on how it will run on older platforms, how it's going to perform. So hopefully this delay will help iron out as many kinks as they can before it now launches on May 5th. Now, as for the Switch, it appears for the time being this delay hasn't affected the Switch version, which, I mean, that's good to see. That version is still planned for July 25th. Let's go talk about Xbox Game Pass, though, because they are on a roll right now. Of course, a few days ago, they dropped Wolong Fallen Dynasty Day 1. That game is spectacular, especially if you like Sekiro and want more games like that. Definitely go check that out if you haven't already. It also appears they have Guilty Gear Strive coming later this week. That is right now one of the best fighting games that you can currently play, so that, I mean, that's a big inclusion. But the thing about Xbox Game Pass is that there's always something else to look forward to. And that was further proven today as 2 more Day 1 games was just announced during the Paradox Showcase. Now, this showcase was actually presented by Xbox, interestingly enough, which, I mean, kind of makes sense in retrospect. The two certainly have a strong relationship, which was highlighted by 2 Day 1 Xbox Game Pass inclusions, the first of which is one that certainly has caught my attention, being the Lamplighters League. Now, this is a brand new strategy RPG with tactical turn-based combat coming from the same studio that worked on the Shadowrun trilogy. So, I mean, they already have a pretty good pedigree there, but I actually love the art style and idea of Lamplighter. It's kind of described as strategy meets story, which you can clearly see in its initial trailer. The animated scenes in this game are beautiful. They're whimsical and charming, which just all kind of comes together thanks to the unique cast of characters. Now, the reason for that is because its story is based on an alternate 1930s history where you put together a bunch of misfits to stop a war. Apparently, the best of the best are already dead, so now you have to put together the best of the worst. A bunch of thieves, scoundrels, and things like that. Mix in some humor, though, and you have a really nice, well-animated story here. I think for that reason alone, this game is intriguing. But more so is the gameplay and its exploration. One thing that they're doing with the Lamplighters League is that they have a real-time infiltration phase. Now, what this means is that essentially before you approach enemies in tactical turn-based combat, before that, you can explore the environment and kind of take a stealth approach to your missions. Here, you can individually take out key targets before engaging in battle. Now, we've seen some other strategy games do this as well, but for real, I actually really like everything that we're seeing with the Lamplighters League. Now, just because of the genre, though, I don't expect this to be on everybody's radar. I get that and everything. But I mean, this goes right atop my list in most anticipated Game Pass games that we know about. Like, I feel like this could actually end up being a big surprise hit when it eventually releases. That's really the only unfortunate part about this announcement, though. It is coming in 2023 for Xbox and PC, though as of this moment, we don't have an exact release date. Hopefully that will change soon, but do expect it to be out sometime in 2023. Now, as for this other game, this is more of your big, well-known IP because not only was a Cities Skyline sequel announced here, but yes, it's also coming to Xbox Game Pass Day 1 alongside the PlayStation 5 and PC release. Again, you gotta love it. The first game was an incredibly popular simulation experience that went on to sell 12 million copies across all platforms. It released back in 2015, though to this day, it still has a vibrant community. So yes, this is a very popular simulation game coming over to Xbox Game Pass, where you build cities, and they're saying Cities Skyline 2 will be the most realistic city builder ever made. Now, however, they're not really revealing too much on this game just as of yet, though that likely will change sometime here soon, just because they did note that it's planned to release sometime in 2023 as well. And that's kind of the thing here, because this further leans into a strong 2023 lineup for Xbox Game Pass. Now, we talked about this last week on Friday. The first 3 months for Game Pass subscribers has been nothing short of stellar. But in some ways, I mean, it feels like we're just getting started. I mean, beyond just these games, there's also Starfield. You have Minecraft Legends. There's Forza 8, Redfall, and those are just your first-party games. But then there's also some really exciting third-party games to look forward to as well, such as The Lies of P. That was a big story last year. It looks kind of similar to something like Bloodborne, as an example. There's Ark 2. There's Silksong, the sequel to Hollow Knight. We've been waiting for that game for what seems like ever. There's also The Last Case of Benedict Fox. That one looks really good. And there's just so many more. It just feels like they have a lot in the pipeline right now. And now you can add both City Skyline 2 and the Lamplight League to that list. Let me know, though, with all of these games coming out, what's your most anticipated third-party Game Pass game that we currently know about? Let me know. Speaking of sequels for popular games, though, there's a very small list of games out there that's reached the popularity of Counter-Strike. Year in and year out, CSGO is one of the top competitive shooters on the market, and that's really been the case for pretty much as long as I can remember. The fact that Valve has managed to keep the series in the spotlight for as long as they have is nothing short of impressive. But it does appear a big shakeup is coming rather soon, and I mean very soon. Yeah, so what's happening here is that some new executables called CSGO 2 and CS2 was spotted in the latest NVIDIA drivers. So this more or less has gotten a lot of fans talking about a possible sequel for Counter-Strike Go or a move to their new engine, Source 2. And well, that right there appears to be correct. This was all further backed up by a leak from Richard Lewis, a journalist that covers Counter-Strike, and according to him, all the speculation, all the rumors that the game is set to move over to Source 2 are, after all, indeed true. He went on to say, speaking under the condition of anonymity, sources with a knowledge of the game's development told us that indeed there was a new version of Counter-Strike Global Offensive on its way and that had been worked on for some time. The new version is almost certainly set to be released under the working title Counter-Strike 2, and the tentative release date for the beta is in this month of March, with April 1st at the outside. So this is actually huge news. Again, this is a massive game. So this will be a big shakeup that not only current players can look forward to, but on top of that, it also has an opportunity to revitalize the IP and bring in entirely new players. With the move over to Source 2, the graphical fidelity will surely improve. It also sounds like they're looking to make some other improvements, such as the matchmaking system as an example. Though, there is one question fans currently have. Of course, the current CSGO, as it stands, is incredibly popular. So what exactly will happen with that game? Is this an Overwatch 2 situation where players are pretty much forced to migrate over to the sequel as they morph together, or will Valve handle this in a different way? Well, from the sounds of it here, that's part why they're doing a beta first. They're going to use that beta to improve it over time. It's been pointed out they did something similar with Dota 2. When they moved that game over to Source 2, they called the newer version Dota 2 Reborn, which ran alongside the original version of the game until it eventually was the quality that they deemed worthy enough to merge the two together. So it sounds like they'll probably do something similar here with Counter-Strike 2. Either which way, though, I mean, this is a huge shakeup, and it sounds like an official announcement will be rather imminent. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day. They were asked you all, when do you think Sony will have their next PlayStation State of Play, or just their next official PlayStation showcase? There has been some rumors as of recent that there might be a big showcase planned right before E3, and it appears most of you all believe that might be the case as well, because as you can see the results here, 6% of you all voted for March, 17% of you all voted for April, 20% of you all then voted for May, 35% voted for June, and then 23% of you all voted for July or after. So that means the vast majority of you all, being 77%, believes it will be June or prior. And I actually fall in that category as well. I think it just kind of makes sense. Of course, they just had a PlayStation State of Play late last month, but that was a very low-key event where they just mostly talked about third-party games. However, we still don't really know much about what they have planned for 2023. I mean, we know that they have a couple Final Fantasy games and Spider-Man planned and all that, but beyond that, especially when it comes to their first party, we really don't know what they have in the pipeline outside of Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, and then Factions. But Sony has a lot more studios than that we don't currently know anything about, again, especially for 2023. I imagine they have more than just Spider-Man 2 planned for this year. So yeah, I think a big update is needed, and to really just give us a look at what the second half of the year has in store. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.